YouTube, 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 YouTube. What's going on out there? This is SEL0320. I'm back at it again for another actual movie slash non-movie slash non-movie. This is a TV review. As you can see from the title, I am doing my first review for the epic and crazy show, The Boondocks. So, the TV show that was inspired by Aaron McGruder's film strip that started, I think, back in 1999 when he was in college. And then it escalated in 2005 to being an actual TV show on Adult Swim or Cartoon Network as we know it. And it's been gone. This hasn't been on the air since 2010. So 4 years later, now it is officially back with a brand new episode. The title for the episode is actually a little bit, I'm not sure what the title was. I think it was Good Times. But the thing that I will say off the gate for y'all is that with the title, I found out that this title, the episode that came on last night, or April the 21st, whenever y'all are watching this, it was actually supposed to be the second episode of the season. And so the next episode after that is actually the fourth episode. So they're playing the episodes out of order. I've seen that with a lot of different other shows. But this series in and of itself is been a spark of so much controversy, so many different people having, I don't know. It's like they have all these different kind of issues with the show, but at the same time, everybody can't deny watching it or wanting to look at it or even seeing like, man, this is an expression of the political output on today's society mixed with their own rendition of a funny parody. And it's a parody of itself. Like episodes like before where the first episode where Huey and Riley, you got Granddad, you got Huey, you got Riley. Huey and Riley are being voice acted by Regina King. I think that with the first episode, what happened was of the whole series, they introduced the two characters, and then they were going and visiting Mr. Wunsler. Yeah, they were going to Mr. Wunsler's party, and what happens midway and during the party, Huey goes and he says this controversial speech about his perspective of what happened with the O.J. Simpson trial, his perspective on what's going on with everything political scene, and then he just giving out all these different truths, and you look at the first episode, you're like, did he really just say that? It's a shock value, but it's very, very, I mean, especially from characters like Huey, it's very, very educational, knowledge-based, and very controversial in his views because he can basically, I think Huey considers him to be a rebel slash revolutionary. And then Riley is on the other side of the demographic where he considers himself a gangster, a thug, and not gonna knock on anybody, but he'll stand up for what's right, so to speak, in his perspective. And so they're definitely two opposite sides of the coin, and to have Regina King and how well she acts these roles and the voice act is just amazing. But I'm not going into all that. I'm gonna talk about what I thought about tonight's episode. And then I'm also going to talk about like the dynamics of how things have changed since 2010. So tonight's episode, it really kind of featured Tom. It was more so to me comparable to the Usher episode. I think of, was it season 2 or season 1, or either the R. Kelly episode. But I think probably the Usher episode is probably what it's comparable to, because it's almost, yeah, it really does feel like that. I mean, the only difference was in that episode it had a pimp named Slipback in it, and that was even funnier. But with this one, I think they were making fun of a character named Young Reezy, and I was like, okay, this is a straight up like shot to Chris Brown. Now I know Chris Brown, he's dealing with a lot of different mental issues as it comes to, I think, was it schizophrenia, and then also post-traumatic stress disorder. I think attributed to his past and abuse and all these different kind of things that's happened to him. And I mean, it kind of, to me, mirrors Michael Jackson, his idol. But anyway, I'm not going to go into all that. But the simple fact is that they are going at Chris Brown in this episode, because the character Young Reezy, or whatever his name is, he basically is going and doing all these different things, like going and holding up a convenience store. He's going and getting arrested doing selling arms to people. He's going and beating a alleged young girl. And I mean, it's just, to me, I mean, I understood the one with Usher and then R. Kelly, and I mean, this show does go there. There are times where this show, it can get so crazy. And I mean, especially the third season. There were episodes in the third season, like I think it was Ma Duke's episode, where Granddad was trying to be a movie star / TV star, and they were depicting basically Tyler Perry in the sense that he was using religious values and undertones, but at the same time, he had all this perversion and he had his own like cult basically, and it was messed up. And I mean, that was like in the third season. I was like, there were times I was looking at episodes like, man, they drew the line. They drew the line. And I mean, this one, it's like it's different because I mean they're not necessarily drawing the line, but they are. I mean, I think also when they made this episode, this is before all these different things, accusations about Chris Brown were factualized based on his medical condition. And so, I mean, it kind of sucks that he'd have to sit there and watch that or even have that publicized, because that plays into any kind of schizophrenia he might have or any kind of like depression or oppression he's feeling. So it kind of sucks because they were just like trashing him. And I mean, he had a lot of interesting one-liners. It was kind of nailed into it, but basically they were using Tom as being his prosecutor, and Tom didn't want to take it because Tom was dealing with a lot of family-related issues. When Tom was doing, I think he was having some kind of interaction in the house, and basically his wife Sarah was telling him, you're a pushover, you never speak up for what you want, you're always saying sorry too much. And I mean, any guy, most of the guys, they know that, I mean, no woman wants them to be necessarily controlled in such a way that's really easy, and they want them to have their own mind about things and wanting to take charge to an extent, but not with being a jerk about it. But you know how like TV and especially this show, they overplay everything. Any kind of like wonder that you might have like your own personal perspective of what women think or what men think, they're gonna go there. And they spare no expense with Tom and Sarah's relationship in this episode, because Tom gets put out. And of course, he always goes to the Freemans. He always goes to Granddad's, and Granddad never wants him to be there. And this time they left him out on the porch. And what the thing is I did like about this episode, you see evolution in Tom in a sense. And I mean, there were episodes before that go too far, but when Tom was having this phobia about going to prison and getting sexually assaulted in prison, he went through an evolution process of dealing with that. And I mean, with this episode, by the end of it, he kind of does deal with his own insecurities about how he should be as a man. And I mean, you do see Tom step out without the help of like a pimp named Slipback, like he did with the episode with Usher. And even in the sense of like his relationship with Young Reezy, it was interesting because by the end of it, Chris Brown's character is not what you expect. It's not exactly what you think. And I mean, that doesn't play on to what Chris Brown's situation is, but it was semi-decent in the way they did the story. But I did feel very different because people like Jasmine, it was zero interaction with her. And I mean, what was it, Gabby Morrell, Mariel, she said one line. I think that was when she was at the table. I mean, normally she makes like one-liners and different quirks, but she didn't say anything in this episode. I thought it was really strange. And then you got like the grandpa, and you got Huey, and you got Riley. They had a lot of interest in one-liners, especially when they went to the house and they were saying, because all the publicity was there, and they were like, you know, that man don't need to be around your wife. And I mean, it was really funny. And but the thing I will say about this show is that it does go too far sometimes. For me personally, I feel like there are certain undertones that they are going, and they need to go there, I guess, for the purpose of the show, because it's a really personal kind of show. It's about the meeting the heart of each one of these people, like Granddad especially, and then Huey and Riley, and the dynamics of how they are growing with each other. And the world around them is evolving and changing, and they're trying to keep up with it. And that's why I like the show. But it's like they use so much profanity. They use so much like violence. They use so much. I mean, I'm used to the violence. I'm used to that. I'm used to even to a fault, like a lot of the cursing. But it's like sometimes it just really kind of goes too far for me personally. This episode, I'd probably give it like maybe a 5 or 6 out of 10. It's not anything better than what I've seen in the past with their episodes. Some of their other episodes, like it really goes there. There was one episode where somebody had gotten wrongfully accused, and Huey was trying to do everything he could to break him out. It was very funny. But by the end of it, it's like Huey questions his relationship with if there is a God. And I mean, he didn't know what to do because at a certain point, and Huey's got all these different kind of skills. He's smart. He's got martial arts skills. Like he can do anything. But it was like he couldn't do anything about this. And episodes like that have such meat to them, that's what I love, me personally. So that's why I give this maybe a 5 or 6 out of 10. Another thing I will say is that when I looked at the opening and I looked at the credits for the episode, I found that there was some interesting things. That one, there was no spot that said writer. There was no spot that said director. There was no spot that said even co-producer. I think there was one co-producer in it, but it was like I saw nowhere Aaron McGruder. And I mean, Aaron was the one that actually created it. I know that everybody knows there's a controversy going on because back, what was it, March? Everybody found out March 2014 that Aaron was not going to be doing it. And so my thought was, okay, that doesn't make sense. How can it be coming out so early? Now, everybody is giving all these different reviews and saying, oh, the episode wasn't this, episode wasn't that. I think that the episode was decent for the fact that it's being a second episode, not the first. They should have released the first episode, whatever that was, to introduce everybody and get everybody acclimated back to the characters again. I'm not sure why they're doing that. And I mean, the two factors I found out is that one, Sony is the main backer of the Boondocks, on top of UPS, and then you also have Adult Swim, which is Cartoon Network. Now, Adult Swim and Cartoon Network, I've already had issues with them. They're getting rid of shows like Young Justice. They've gotten rid of shows like The Green Lantern. I mean, they got rid of Beware of Batman, but then they're bringing that back, but yet they won't bring Young Justice back. I mean, and then Sony, we already had this discussion last week. I feel Sony might have taken literally Spider-Man IP away from Microsoft, but I cannot prove that. And so what I'm finding is that in the interview, and I'll read it to y'all, back when everybody found out that Aaron wasn't going to be doing it, this is what Aaron has said. As the world now knows, the Boondocks will be returning the 4th season, but I will not be returning for it. I'd like to extend my gratitude to Sony and to Adult Swim for the greatest 3 great seasons. I created the Boondocks 2 decades ago in college. I did a daily comic for 6 years, and I was a showrunner for the animated series for the first 3 seasons. And the Boondocks pretty much represents my life's work to this point. Huey, Riley, Granddad are not just property to me. They are the fictional blood relatives to me. Nothing is more painful than to leave them behind. To quote a great white man, oh goodness, I don't know what this is going to say, Hollywood is business. And to quote another great white man, don't hold grudges. What has never been lost to me is an enormous responsibility that came with the Boondocks, particularly the television show and its relativity to young audience. It is important to offend, but equally important to offend for the right reasons. For 3 seasons, we personally navigated the show through the minefields of controversy. It was not perfect, and it definitely was not quick, but it was always done in a keen sense of duty, history, culture, love. Anything less would have been simply unacceptable. As for me, I'm finally putting to light the controversy and the troublemaking behind me, and I'm actually coming out with my upcoming Adult Swim show, The Black Jesus. Now, I feel like even when I looked at, there was one episode where Huey had done the Christmas play, and he made Jesus African American, and it's really interesting. I mean, you go in history, I'm not going all that, but it's interesting that now he's going to do this show, which doesn't make sense, because why would you walk away to Boondocks and do this? So I did a little bit of research, and I found that basically there was some kind of scheduling related issues with how fast the episodes were going to be released out, right? Because I remember, when was it? I'm going to find it, because I took notes on all this. I remember specifically when, I think it was in 2013, what time frame was it? Oh, man. I want to say it was February 2013 when I heard Aaron saying specifically that the Boondocks were going to be coming back. Oh, here it is. Here's I found it. So Aaron is a comic genius. His famous comic strip, The Boondocks, has become somewhat of an American institution now and is famed for everything that's happening. According to the Boondocks fan page, the season 4 episodes will begin as soon as the fundraising for the movie about Uncle Ruckus has achieved. Okay, there was supposed to be a movie that was supposed to be coming out with Uncle Ruckus. The same voice actor for Uncle Ruckus was going to actually be the lead role in it. Now, the thing was that I found so funny is that Gary Anthony, who was supposed to be Uncle Ruckus, McGruder had started a Kickstarter campaign to raise $200,000 in order to produce a live-action film focused on the character Uncle Ruckus. Now, what happened was, this is what I found out. He stated that the crowdfunded would be sole source funded for the film's budget. The campaign was from January the 30th to March the 1st, 2013. At 7 p.m., we found out it ended on, I think, less than 3,000 bankers, but it stopped short of its goal. It was at 129,963 versus 200,000. Now, okay, I'm gonna round this all up for y'all. So you got Aaron working on Uncle Ruckus's live action film debut. You've got him still doing the writing and the scripts for the Boondocks, because based on what he was saying, and even the fan page, and even if you look on Aaron's page, and I remember looking on Facebook and I was like, wow, it's coming back. Wow, this is great. And so that means to me, even though you look on the titles, you look at those words, like I was saying, when you look at them, notice that he's not there, but it doesn't say somebody else wrote it. It doesn't say that somebody else was the co-author. It doesn't say somebody else wasn't the co-director. If you look on IMDb, it's not going to give you that information, of course. But to me, my theory is that he wrote these episodes. He was the one that actually had a hand in writing. Now, what they could have done, they could have rewritten the episodes and just changed something slightly to throw it off, or they could have completely canceled him out of it based on the fact that he's saying that he's not going to be a supporter of it. But if he's already worked on the episodes, which is no way within the time frame that he said he's going to be working on, 2013 to now 2014, because it takes 2 years to actually do the voice acting, the production, the animation, everything. It takes that time most of the time. Even if you look at Afro Samurai, like they said it take even longer than that when they was doing those. So to me, I feel like Aaron had a play in writing this, and I think you're gonna find out if you look at the first episode, you're gonna probably see it really well. And so people are saying, well, Aaron's not there. It's the placebo effect. They told you that Aaron is no longer a part of it, but it's gonna make you feel like, man, this is not the same. And to me, it does feel the same. At first, I was kind of like, man, I don't want to see it. It's gonna feel different. But the character dynamics have not changed, and you can tell when people do the voice acting, like where their enthusiasm lies. And so to me, it feels like when they did the episode, that he was a part of it. And so because Sony probably had their own wants and needs of how things they wanted to done, then they were like, no, well, if you can't do it, then ship out. And same thing happened to Sam Raimi when it came to Spider-Man 3. When Spider-Man 4 was supposed to come out, which was supposed to be done the right way, he was like, well, it's going to take me a little longer. They're like, nope, kicked out. And now Mark Webb is the director, which I love. I can't wait for Spider-Man 3 or Spider-Man 2. I made Spider-Man 2. But Sony has a tendency of doing that. And I really feel like they had a play in that, which sucks, because how are you going to sit there and get rid of somebody that's actually already done the writing? At least say, well, the person's no longer going to do it. What I think they're doing, because Aaron doesn't want to do any more Boondocks, it doesn't mean he doesn't want to still make money and still be a part of Adult Swim. So that's probably why he's going to be doing the Black Jesus. And it's probably not going to be under Sony. So I think more so Sony might be the culprit of it. But I can't, it's just hearsay. It's just my opinions, my personal perspective on it. But to me, if you got such a person like Aaron that's a visionary and at the same time, I think to me, like, he exhibits all different things that Huey is. I think he resonates with Huey more than anybody on the show. But I mean, like I said, to me, I gave this episode just probably like maybe a 5, at most a 6 out of 10. I think it will get better. I've seen different episodes kind of like playing homage to Breaking Bad. I've seen episodes like paying homage to Roots. They haven't revealed too much, and I'm not even sure how many episodes they're actually even gonna do. Now, I've seen online that they said this is the 4th and final, but when I look on Cartoon Network, when I look at any kind of advertisements, it doesn't say that. So what I think is happening is that there's people that are trying to make sure that this doesn't go on, and then Sony or Adult Swim, I'm not really sure who, or the director and the producers that are taking over it now, they're probably trying to keep the show in circulation. And honestly, I would like to see the show still. I really would like to continue seeing the show, and I wouldn't want it to sit there and wait 4 years just to see it. That kind of, it's a blower. To me, what Aaron should have probably done, he should have probably connected with Adult Swim or Fox. And I think he couldn't do it with Fox because it's way too political. When the N-word is used, when you got so many different like undertones that are so offensive to people, I mean, it's gonna be hard to pull that out. But I mean, Bob's Burgers, it has a lot of different sexual undertones. I mean, Family Guy goes anywhere they want to, but they have limitations. But when you look at Comedy Swim, South Park, they can go anywhere they want. And I mean, I think that Aaron should have pulled the show that way if he could. And I think he should still go ahead and try to do the Ruckus movie. If you go and look, there's a couple interviews with Uncle Ruckus. Even if you go Uncle Ruckus YouTube channel, you'll see some of the acts and skits that he's already kind of done that he would have probably pulled into the movie, which unfortunately is not going to be done anymore. But I think they should try to do like a TV release for it on Adult Swim or something like that. That'd be really fun to me. But like I said, it's sad to see the season go. But don't get it twisted. I think that honestly, that Aaron already wrote a big portion of these episodes. It's just, I'm not sure why they're doing them out of order. And I think they're trying to do them out of order to kind of play that, okay, well, Aaron wasn't a part of it, and so this is why this episode is lacking. And so now I'm gonna show y'all what we can do and show the first episode, and then that's a cop-out. And so, I don't know. Let me know what y'all thought about the first episode of the Boondocks Season 4. YouTube. SEL0320. I'm out. Have a good night. Have a good morning. Have a good evening. Y'all take it easy. Later. Board Rockweiler lips. Sweet and sour chihuahua. Barbecue German Shepherd. Alright, let's do this. Alright. You know, like I said, you know that I feel like if Aaron was working on Uncle Ruckus' bit and then it failed, and then he was also doing the writing for Boondocks, and then now all of a sudden in 2014 he's not there anymore, there had to have been something that went down. But more than anything, that if you look at YouTube, you gotta push the likes down the floor, gotta push the like, get the, let's play. Oh man, I need to get serious about this because this is actually one of the biggest shows that hit. But yeah man, show's crazy. Yeah, this is definitely a blooper because I'm just ranting. YouTube.